Okay, Scuba Maintenance Book, 1988, upgraded from 1980. And if they go into types of regulators, all they have is double hose regulators are very rarely used by the sports diver since they are no longer being manufactured, and it is very difficult to obtain spare parts for this type of regulator. Yeah, right. Today we're looking at the 1962 version of The New Science of Skin and Scuba Diving. And we're going to be going through doffing and donning drills. Here's your doffing drills. It's all nice and totally written. And then we're going to be going through donning drills. And we're going to be going through buddy breathing techniques. Okay, here you see the receiver. He's slightly above the donor, and that way the donor's ambient pressure will continue to supply a little bit. There's about 3 different techniques we'll be going over. They're only covering this one. What if you can't go sideways? What if you have to be straight up and down? There's all kinds of neat stuff in here. Clearing drills, we've already covered. We'll probably do some clearing underneath there just to let you see. Also, flooded hose procedure. If your mouthpiece comes out of your mouth, okay, grasp it, let it free flow, and rotate backwards, letting that ambient pressure work for you, and then recover the rig. If you just want to sit there and clear it out, just float on your back and then stretch the hose up, pointing the regulator out to where it starts free flowing, which it should already be free flowing, and then just turn it down back towards your mouth and bring it down to you. I'll start out here. Okay, so of course we're in our pool, and I'm going through a quick doffing of my regulator set. I'm securing my weights around my leg. Now I've only got 3 pounds. I'm fairly, neutrally buoyant, and I'm going to go ahead and get in position and pull the regulator set off. I've already done my quick release. Got to get my crotch strap off. There we go. Get that waist belt off. And I'm going to rotate the regulator and tank completely over towards straight out in front of me. Steel tank's a lot better to do this drill with than aluminum. We had some issues with the aluminum tanks corking up on us. And there you can see I'm getting my weights all set. Okay, and I've got the regulator tucked underneath, the mouthpiece is tucked underneath, and I'm good to go. Now I'm going to go back down. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab that air supply, get that air going, get control of your weights. Okay, in this case I've only got 3 pounds of weight, but I'm going to grab that weight belt. In this case I just tucked it over my arm, and I'm going to go ahead and immediately flip the harness and tank back over directly over my head, ensuring I don't get hose twist. Because if you don't do it right, you will twist your hoses. The great thing about the silicone hoses is they're very forgiving on that, and you can correct yourself. So I've got the tank on my back. Now I'm going to go ahead and secure my weights, or weight, just so I don't cork up too much. In the 1962 New Science of Skin and Scuba Diving book, they use a lot of weight on the belt just to ensure that the diver and trainee is planted on the ground. In this case, I decided I'd do just a sort of a hasty doff. And okay, I get my belt, grab my crotch strap. Crotch strap is important to keep that tank situated correctly on your back, so your regulator is in a good position right in between your shoulder blades, and you get good airflow. Well, once I get that done, I go ahead and tack it on down. Great thing about the 1962 dog bone is it's got one of the first uses of Velcro in a piece of scuba equipment. Right now I'm going ahead and doing my chest strap. I'm getting my quick release loop done up, so if I had to sit there and doff the tank again, I could just pull that quick release and boom, I'm out of the tank. And by the way, that tank strap has 3 quick release straps on it. Now the dog bone has a small back plate just underneath the tank where it's lifted up, and you want to get your weight belt right on that little back plate. the best way to do it with this piece of equipment is actually to get down on all fours or rotate your back down and then slide your weight belt up. I didn't do that. I just went ahead and tucked it up there, and it has a tendency of sliding back down, so you actually want to lean forward and then tuck your weight belt up onto that plate. Now that's only for this piece of equipment. See, it's trying to drop down on me. If you're using a standard basket tank holder, or maybe an a Sportsways or Healthways tank pack, you might not have that little plate. You'll just have to tuck up your weight belt as close as you can to where it connects with the crotch strap, and then you're good to go. And we're good there, and I'm off to go have fun in the sun. This is my one of my buddies over here, Bill Bernard, Prior Service Army, and he's using a 1962 Mistral from U.S. Divers, and he's going through the Doffing drill. Now he has a whole bunch of weight as per the 1962 New Science of Skin and Scuba Diving. And here's a better shot of him starting out. If you'll notice, he's wearing a rather strange mask. That's an equalizer mask. Bill suffered hearing damage in the service, had a perforated eardrum, and that's the only non-vintage piece of equipment he's actually working with. And it has allowed him to experience diving again. It works really well for him. It actually covers up the ears, and he can equalize with his nose. So here he is. He's got a whole bunch of weight. He's going to try to do it right by the 1962 New Science of Skin and Scuba Diving book. And there he goes. He pops his quick release, and he's going to rotate that tank over his head, keeping his hoses in line. And he's got good control, and he's adjusting his weight on top of the tank. And looking pretty good. I mean, that's class. Okay, he's got his mouthpiece out now. He's trying to tuck it underneath there. Got it tucked under so it's not free flowing. He does a little check, and he's good to go. Excellent. Right, that's perfect. Alright, Bill's going to come back down. Notice his tank is in perfect position, not free flowing. He immediately grasps that air supply directly to the mouth. Hoses are not kinked up, not wrapped around. And he's got control of it. And he's going to get his legs on both sides of that tank as per the New Science of Skin and Scuba Diving 1962. He exhales and has negative buoyancy, has good weight control, and that's the beauty of the steel tank. Now remember, they didn't have aluminum tanks, at least civilians didn't back in the early 60s, and of course not in the 50s. So if you do this with an aluminum tank, you're going to have a lot of weight, maybe even a tank strap weight. Alright, so Bill's got control. He's bringing his strap around. Oh, now he's got to find that crotch strap, but he's still in control, doing good. Readjusts his weight belt to keep him down, stop from corking. He's going to dig that crotch strap out. Oh, those are 1966 Void fins, by the way. And he's got his crotch strap. He's going to go ahead and take his waistband and run it through the loop of the crotch strap. Get it cinched down. And that crotch strap, as I said it before, is important. It keeps that tank centered so your regulator is right where it should be. Okay, he's going for the upper quick release chest strap. Runs it through the double square loops, should I say square rings. And he's going to go ahead and put a quick release loop back in through. And looking good. Now that's an excessive amount of weight. That's a lot more weight than Bill would use. But as per the book, they tend to use that so you're not corking up. And of course he's going to be battling the shelf issue on the back of the 62 tank pack from U.S. Divers. and he gets an initial cinch, but he felt it slip off that back flat plate. So he comes up with his own solution on it. And he's fighting gravity, but he's looking pretty good. And he just gets tired of it, and he scuttles and just stands up. And that's one answer to the solution. He leans forward a little bit and ensures that strap of the weight belt is back on the back plate there. Make a few little adjustments, but he's good to go as per the new science of skin and scuba diving 1962. And you can see he's rather heavy. Here's proof that you can just breathe in and breathe out and be neutrally buoyant if you're weighted right. Breathing out, going down. Now here we have an aluminum 80 that Bill has already placed on the bottom. And I've been diving with Bill here in the Red Sea on and off for the last 4.5 years. He's dove off the coast of Australia, Thailand, and of course here in the Red Sea and a few other places. Probably got about at least 60 dives with him. And he's getting ready to tackle the corker. Now, yeah, these aluminum tanks are a pain. Now, I think we put a tank weight on this, so I'm not sure. He's definitely going to be having fun with it. Since it doesn't provide a bunch of weight, it does have a fairly good amount of weight. And he's going to show that yes, even with an aluminum tank, you can do it. And he's got his weight around his leg. It's probably one of the best things. Now, I know they say in the book, yeah, place between your legs, the tank between your legs and all that. But a lot easier said than done. He still has control of his equipment. And he's got control of his air supply, and that is a 1967 U.S. Diver's tank pack. Now notice that when he lifts it up, that thing really wants to cork up. And this is something we discovered when we thought we were just going to do with aluminum tanks. Said no, we'll go ahead and do the traditional one with the 1957 Rene steel tank. But we had to show that the aluminum has a little bit more issues with it. And of course this tank pack, 1967, is a hard little plastic pack. It's designed to take the larger tanks, and it has a crotch strap. And in this case he's just standing up. He feels more comfortable, but he's got good control. And he's looping his waist belt around and tightening it up. Got his crotch strap there. He's good. Once he's done mucking around with it, he'll get his weights back on. It's a lot easier to doff or take off the tank back than it is to just slap it back on. I mean, face it, you're going in the water, you've already done all your adjustments on shore. So yeah, this is the skill of taking off is actually rather quick. Donning it underwater takes a little bit more practice and skill. And he's got a control of his weights, breathing well. We tried it with the tank between the legs, and the tank would just float around and not give him any purchase. So we just went ahead and let him rock the way it is. And he's still in control, and he's still performing all the skills necessary to doff and don underwater. And it's looking pretty good. Now we're sort of nitpicky. We like to get our weights just right and all that. But in a real situation where you had to put it on, yeah, you get that weight belt on, slap it on, and when you're swimming away, you can adjust while you're on the move. But looks like he's doing pretty good. Now I noticed something. And that's, if I got that other GoPro there, I noticed something that had happened when he put this tank back on. And that his hoses were twisted. there it is. He goes ahead and just, lets him rotate out and does a quick clear, tilt the head to the left, and he's cleared and he's good to go. It shows how forgiving those straps make. Yeah, it does a little, make a full mast clear, and he's ready to swim around and have a lot of fun scuba diving with vintage equipment. Now here what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of some weight. He's double checking his hoses, make sure they're not kinked up, but they're not. He unkinked them, does an extra bit of clearing, and he's good to go. Now we're going to drop some weight, and we are going to proceed to demonstrate at least the horizontal movement of buddy breathing. We could have sat there and just showed us transferring rigs in between each other, but that wasn't as cool. So we went ahead and we already talked about this on the surface. I'm going to go ahead and turn that GoPro off and get rid of it. Bill's waiting around. We've already getting ready to drop some weight. Okay, we're dropping some weight to make us more balanced in the water column, and we are going to prepare to do a little bit of buddy breathing. Just as an example, probably hasn't been filmed in 35-40 years using double hoses. Just as in single hose regulators, if you have an out of air scenario, you're going to have the guy that needs the air come up, and you're going to lock arms, okay, leaving one arm free to pass the regulator back and forth. There's no difference here, except there is you're using a double hose and there is no cutoff, so you have to clear or have a clear air flow from ambient pressure of the regulators working for you. Now I've slowed it down here to half speed so you can see. Notice I'm just slightly below Bill. I'm got my back tilted towards him so we get that free flow action when I pull the reg out of my mouth. And there's that free flow action. And Bill takes some air in, blows out, takes a couple breaths, transfers the regulator back to me. I do a quick little clear, take me a breath, and then I go ahead and I'm going to pass it right back to him. Notice I want to stay a little bit lower than him. And granted, we're only in 9 feet of water, but it's working. And notice our arms are locked as we move. Now we're going to start moving by. Bill has no air, but during this I'm going to go ahead and take me a breath. I'm going to transfer it back to him. Here we are at about 42 feet, coming up from a max depth of about 58. We're heading towards the little reef. Excuse me. The tank pack Bill is wearing is a modified 1963. And he has a banjo fitting to give him pressure gauge. And of course his 62 Mistral has a long yoke, so he can do that. But I'm wearing a 2018 Argonaut Kraken fully modern double hose, and you'll see it later. And we're coming up to a reef that's about 25 to 30 feet deep at its deepest point. I guess we're at about 38, 40 feet here. And I'm just going to let it rock and roll and enjoy the dive. By the way, Bill is using a banjo fitting for a submersible pressure gauge, and he has a long yoke so he can check on his air pressure and tank pressure. Also, you'll notice some die off here, but we have been noticing on this reef that this year and last year we're getting a lot more new growth of coral. The Red Sea and the Gulf of Arabia, or some people call it the Persian Gulf, have species of coral that are extremely immune, it seems, to high temperature changes. So we're seeing some good stuff in the coral now. And they're thinking about transferring some of these corals to other parts of the world where certain corals can't handle the temperature change, whereas the ones in the Red Sea and in the Arabian Gulf have a high tolerance for heat and are actually doing rather well. We do get die-offs, but we've been seeing a lot of new coral growth. We've got about 2 or 3 years of new coral growth on some of these deadheads, and some areas are totally unaffected. It just, I guess, depends on the species of coral.